This is Cyte 09, aka Quincy, or also known as Clyde. I like to call him Clyde. He is the sniper Warframe. He is something that a lot of Ivara mains always wanted, but then he put them out of business. But don't worry, Ivara mains, it's not about you. You pretty much just don't exist in Clyde's presence. Today's Clyde build is not using his sniper, but we're sticking to the weapon platform variant. Remember the days when we used to spam our Kuva Zarr with no regards to our ammo economy? Well, DE surely remembered, and that's why they got rid of all of the fun. And the nerfing happened. But then we got Incarnate Weapons, Energized Munitions, and CLYDE 09. So it's like they undid the entire nerf anyway.
Nice job, team.
And today's build was inspired by this guy right here that you see in my Mesa video. That's his glyph. And this is mine, guys. Do you like my glyph? You guys like my glyph? The guy is a self-proclaimed Baruch main, but all he plays is Sevagoth dual augment spam and Vault with melee influence. He's an absolute fraud. But anyway, one day I happened to get this particular combo in my EDA loadout. So I said to myself, why not put a build together? And here we are, bringing you the unnerfed Kuva Zarr featuring Clyde. The build is so simple, yet devastating. So simple, in fact, that your grandma with arthritis in her deathbed awaiting to see Jesus, Allah, and her former lover Ben, that same grandma who's never played a single video game, can use this build. That's how simple it is, so no excuses. If you fail, it's literally a skill issue. So Mr. Knightmare, the Lord of Primed Sure-Footed, how does this build work? Well, for one, it's really gonna suck if you don't have Prime Sure-Footed, so that's a you issue. Get fucked. The reason that mod is required is because we will be spamming the Kuva Zarr like crazy, and if you don't have the best mod in the game, well, this is what will happen. Ooh, yuck. You don't want that, huh? Man, that's how it feels like to not have PSF? How do you guys even play the game, man? Don't fret, normies. You have the copium combo mods like Cautious Shot or regular Sure-Footed and Fortitude. Sorry, I kind of vomited in my mouth a little bit. Seriously, at that point, just get a time machine and grab yourself Prime Sure-Footed. So, how does this build work? Well, for one, you're going to need a Kuva Zarr. Make sure it has the Toxin Valence Formation. That means the bonus Kuva element. You want it to be Toxin. Why? Because then we can have combined elements like Corrosive, Viral, or Gas. But in this case, it's going to be Corrosive. As you can see on my site right here, I have the Tauforge Electric Shards, which grant electric elemental damage bonus to my primary. So if you look at my primary weapon over here, it just has Toxin, and with those shards, I get Corrosive without even modding for it. Ideally, you want full purple shards, but I do have the red shard here for my other builds. And the other reason you want electric on your Clyde is that it also boosts the electric damage over time that scales off your modded element. So the more electric damage you have will in turn multiply the damage of your electric damage over time you will deal when you buff your weapon with Clyde's electric damage buff from his second ability. For those who don't know, his resupply is a guaranteed elemental proc, hence the combo. To be honest, this electrical proc will only really matter in higher level missions because you will one-shot everything in base steel path. So let's take a look at that Zarr build. As you can see, I have no elemental damage mods here, yet I have Corrosive. Our base damage is coming from Primary Merciless. This will give us 365% base damage when we get 12 kills. And the other important things, you want to have a lot of fire rate, hence file acceleration. That minus 15% damage, it doesn't exist, all right? Don't worry about that. Bunch of fire rate, very important. Crit chance and crit damage. Increase your probability of critting and multiply the damage when you do crits. Prime Firestorm to increase the size of our load. And Rifle Elementalist. This is for that little extra tick of damage. And of course, we do have our faction damage mod. You can change the sound for, the other factions. To be honest, it's only Grineer and Orokin. Those are the actual threats in this game. Mostly Orokin if you're doing, endurance runs, Cascade, whatever, You gotta have that. Multiplying the damage, and you get 2 times the damage of your damage over time. I take a shot every time I say damage. And Prime Magazine Warp increases how many times we can blow our load.
Daddy, chill.
Before we actually reload with our second ability. And if you're not too worried about Rifle Elementalist, you can replace it with other mods. You have your magnetic capacity, which increase more magazine size, so instead of 8, you will get 10 bullets before you actually reactivate your resupply. If you don't care too much about the faction, because you're just doing regular steel path and all that, you can add Amalgam Serration for even more movement. So this is like your normie casual build that still destroys steel path. And if you want to boost that electric damage even more, you can always replace magazine capacity with your electric damage mod to add more to your tickle. Alright, so how do we start this build? We're going to be using our Helminth ability, which is going to be Nourish. Nourish grants us a viral elemental damage to our weapons. Yes, all of our weapons. And the other thing about this Helminth is that it's going to be our energy multiplier, because we're going to be spamming our abilities a lot. Yes, our ammo economy is actually our energy. What does that mean? Using his second ability, Resupply, we can resupply. It's in the name, guys. Do you see it? Resupply. Resupply ourselves with ammunition. These new bullets will have an elemental modifier attached to them. And in this case, we're going to be going with electricity either way. So before we start off, we're going to pop a little Matarai Void Sling here. This is going to give us that 40% strength increase with sling strength and the 50% casting speed. I'll only do this for the initial one because I want that burst of energy when we first start our mission. Our boom, energy pad, look at that. Half our energy, pretty cool. But anyway, instead of waiting, I'm just going to pick up that energy pad and we can just hold cast our second ability, and then we get this nice wheel over here, and then boom, we're gonna take the electricity. We have electric enhanced weaponry. Shoot. Press the second ability again, immediately reload. Notice how I just killed everything here. Those are Eximus units. Yes, big boy guys. See, Eximus level 230. Is that the highest we can go? That is the highest we can go, and it's steel pathings. Boom, boom, boom. Immediately reload. If we do a little transference, we can just shoot. Look at that. That's literally what we're going to be doing. That's how it works. Of course, you're going to be getting energy after you kill enemies, and when you pick up these health and energy orbs, take a look. Take a look on the bottom. Take a look on the bottom. You're looking? You're looking? Watch, watch, watch. Oh my god, what was that? That was just a health orb? Ain't no way. Oh my god. So if we kill enemies, we can sustain ourselves. And as long as we can sustain ourselves, we'll have infinite ammo. How is that even allowed? Well, ask DE. Let's take a look at the whole build together. Our CLYDE build, very simple. Corrosive projection, minus 18% armor to everything. Best mod in the game. Seriously. Yes, get this. Our strength is at 214 thanks to that one red Town Forge shard. Blind Rage, this is going to be our overall strength increase. However, we have Precision Intensify. This gives us 90% strength to Nourish. So we get a big energy multiplier right there. And of course, the viral damage increase. We want a decent amount of duration. That's why we're going with Prime Continuity and Narrow-Minded. Unfortunately, we're going to lose some duration because I'll be running Fleeting Expertise. I want a lot of sustain here. That's why I have a larger energy pool, Fleeting Expertise, and Equilibrium. I'll be spamming this a lot. Our main source of survivability is murder, genocide.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
And if you get procced with a status effect, you can always Rolling Guard and continue your genocide. For the Arcanes, Molt Augmented for even more strength. This will of course increase our damage output, both on the elemental side with Resupply and Nourish. And of course, that also increases our energy sustain. And for even more fire rate for the spammage, you want to have Arcane Acceleration because this is a primary weapon build. Now for movement, just to avoid danger and to get to the next point or the objective faster, get yourselves the Praetos, the best melee in the game. It's so good that you never have to use this as an actual weapon.
That's what I'm talking about. This is all I need.
Now for those Destiny players coming into Warframe, this is Eager Edge. Alright, with this evolution, you got sprint speed, slide, and then you have parkour velocity. Just that. Look at that. That's just a simple bullet jump. And I can even just do that. Move faster. Dodge roll. This is how good this weapon is, just to get you to one point to another, way faster. And to increase the dodge rolls, you can have a secondary weapon that's a utility weapon. Slap on Amalgam Barrel Diffusion. Yes, faster dodge speed. So, look at that. That allows you to go to one point to the other faster. And now for even more fire rate, sustain, crit damage, and a little bit of support to keep you alive, I'll be using the Worm Prime. This guy, you know, he's a lovely guy. Look at him. He looks like Mushu, but more useful. The build, very simple. Guardian. When your shields break, boom, you get your shields right there. Yes, imagine using Arcane Barrier. Seriously, why does that Arcane even exist when we have Guardian? You got Negate to cleanse your status effects, so you don't necessarily have to use Rolling Guard most of the time, but only when you're in a pinch. That's when Rolling Guard comes in handy. Shield Recharger. This continues to regenerate your shields and increases your max shields. Reinforced Bond. If your companion has over 1,200 shields, you see that? You see that? You see how many shields he has? Exactly. You get increased fire rate. This is 60%. So if we look on the top right, you can see right there, 60% fire rate with Reinforced Bond. And you also see this little thing over here called Tenacious Bond. Well, that's from the Tenacious Bond mod right there. If our companion has over 50% crit chance, we will gain 1.2 times final critical damage multiplier. That's more damage. And of course, this is for survivability. We just get some bonus loot, the usual regen, Manifold Bond, so it reduces the cooldown of all these other abilities. And we can also use the Burst Laser Prime. Why do we use the Burst Laser Prime? Well, because it's a secondary, and we get the Augur mods. When you use energy, it converts that energy spent into shields. That's even more survivability. And you can slap on a crit chance mod like Creeping Bullseye right here. See? And that's why we get the bonus critical damage. And this is the build synergy. Use that to your advantage. Guys, if you build a weapon on its own, it's going to be lackluster. But if you combine it with a Warframe weapon synergy, boom, look what you can do. And I see some people asking, hey, KnightmareFrame, what about his first and third ability? Do you ever use those? The first ability, no, never. Like, it doesn't even exist anymore. But his third ability is very useful when you're up against violence. We hate that guy, right? Because he dispels your abilities. So whenever you see him spawning in, activate your third ability. And for those who don't know, if you're invisible, it takes time for him to register where you are, so you can blow your load all over his face.
I cummed all up in that. I came to
Kill him before he silences you. And to be honest, that's the only time you would ever use your invisibility. Anyway, folks, that has been it from me. I do hope you enjoyed and learned something from this video. If you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do it for the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace. Bye-bye now. Bye. Bye.